Okay, we can now begin the stream. That was a really weird call. You know, um, I've been answering more and more phone calls because employers, try to reach me. And I swear to you, the weirdest thing to me is that these people will call you at any random given time of the day, right? It could be in the morning, afternoon, the night. And if you don't answer their call and you try to call them back, they don't even respond. They don't answer ever. A good example of this would be when I was driving back from, I think it was either, it could have been anywhere between Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I was driving back from an interview, and I'm not joking. This lady calls me, and she's like, I'm working for this company, and I was wondering if you're interested in this position. I said yes, and she can like notice that I'm driving because you can hear like the wind or whatever in the background. And I said to her, would it be possible for me to call you back? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. And so hang up. I call back maybe 20 minutes because I'm not that far away from where I live. And then no answer. It says the line is busy and it just keeps, doing a little buzzing noise. And I figure, okay, maybe they're so wrapped up in this call that they're, not available right now. So I call them back an hour later, still nothing. Stuff like that is just so obnoxious because it's like, why say you can call me later or call back or whatever, and then you don't even answer the phone when you get called back? And we know it's a little deceptive, sneaky, dirty tactic that they have because when I call them back, you would think if that person maybe left the job, is not there right now, somebody else would answer, or they'll call you back the next day. Hey, we got a call from you yesterday, but no one was in the office. Nothing. Just a complete waste of everybody's time. That's why I said, like, when you factor in how these people just call you at random hours of the day, right, with no warning of like, hey, can we have an interview or speak to you for 15 minutes at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then you don't answer. It's like people say, oh, you don't want a job. It's like, no, you're getting called by places that are randomly calling you, so you're just supposed to be expected to be sitting at home by the phone all damn day long, um when in reality you might be doing various things, in between when they call you, when they don't. So it's just a really stupid process related to these people. Like I don't get it at all. Like sitting here and calling somebody randomly, and then when they don't pick up exactly when you would prefer, you know you don't call them back, or they don't get to call you back. It's dumb. It's another reason why I said I understand the severity of needing a job. I understand the seriousness of not having one, of like what the ramifications of that. But this is a big part of the reason why, for me, employers, these companies, they're a joke. They're just a big joke. Even when they hire you, they're still a joke. So it's just really obnoxious. Getting random calls all hours of the day by, you know, one this number, one that number. This one's in this city, this one's in the other city, and then if you don't pick up right when they call you, nothing, just radio silence. And these will be the same bastards that when they call you, they make it sound like they're so interested in talking to you and, hey, how are you doing? But no, they don't care. It's just another day in the hood for them. And it makes sense. I mean, hey, it's not like they're the ones who are going to have to sit here and worry about how they're going to pay for stuff and afford things without a job. Their empathy is already, way past the point of the bottom. But it's just really obnoxious, just getting called all day long by random people, and if you don't pick up right when they want you to, you can just expect to hear nothing back. But yeah, I interviewed at this one place on Friday, and they wanted me to send them three references, two professional, one personal. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, if someone has never worked a job before, just hypothetical, what professional references would they even be able to give? But like even with myself, I would say that that still is like a thing that to me is like really I have to go and find two employers or people over me to give to you just to do this job, just to maybe do this job because we still don't know if you're actually hired or not. And like I said before, at this point, it's never just you apply somewhere and you get the job. Instead, it's apply, then you have to go buy these clothes or you have to go fill out this paperwork. It's a whole bunch of crap every time. Or when you get there, you have to watch these videos. I remember like thinking to myself that when I worked for uh like that one restaurant, and the first 2 days were just me watching stuff on the computer about like safety protocols and what to do if this happens and this is where this is located. And I was thinking to myself, like, this is all well and good, but I'd rather actually be working. I don't want to just go to a job just to sit down and watch something. Like I don't know, just I don't understand why there's so much crap they want you to fill out and complete. And that's really what pisses me off about the jobs being so quick to fire somebody. It's like you sit here and have them go through this whole process of sometimes hours long explanations and justifications for what the job will be. And then you're going to get rid of them in what, 5 working days, 10 working days, 15, 20 days of working. I mean, it's just a really strange thing to like have someone go through this whole process of learning these things just to be like a couple of weeks later. That's weird to me. But again, employers doing a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense to yours truly. And that's definitely one of them. God, these jobs. If I'm not getting contacted by a job, I'm having some politician asking me to donate to him. And I give a couple of them some stuff. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I don't, but with it's kind of weird when it's the same one or two every single day, being like, "We have a fundraising deadline that we need you to help us complete." Just stuff like that's really weird to me. Mm. I was on this one website yesterday, and I was trying to make a custom product. It's where you like create your own design, and I ordered the thing, and they sent me an email today, and they're like, "This design is against our guidelines or terms of service." Now, what it is, it's a logo for um, a school, and it was symbolic because the person that it's representing went to the school. But what I guess what I get is like I don't have a problem with them having stuff they just don't want on like their designs, or whatever. What I do have a problem with is that they tell you this only after you order it. Like you would think if they have these like designs that they just cannot do for copyright reasons, whatever, they would have like a thing, like a little system in place where it detects like, hey, this is not tenable, this is something that we can't produce. But they only realize that after the fact. So now you have to like order the same thing minus that part, which is whatever to me. But it's like you have to actually sit there and you know go and order it again and have to wait another extra 2 or 3 days just to get it. It's annoying. It's just stupid, but whatever. Everything's always dragged out at this point. Heck, people showing up to a stream to write stuff is dragged out now. We're in an era where a lot of things are made harder than they should be. Also, I guess I should say that I misled people on Saturday because I had said, oh, well, when I stream on Monday, I'll be back at the place. What happened is that the same character that I discussed, or actually that people overheard on that one stream that I had to redo, that person is staying at home even though they're supposed to be working today. Because they're the thing they do is like every week they miss 1 to 3 days of work. So this is one of those 3 days. And I feel like I could probably I might be able to do the whole thing without them interrupting or acting crazy, but um I still am not entirely confident that they won't barge in or whatever. So I'm just gonna do it from here. But yeah, this is what happens when people just don't go to work. When they just that's what I said. I wish I had a job where I could just be like, okay, guys, I'll work 2 days this week, 3 days that week, 4 days this week. Just always have some day off. And then as I'm taking days off over because I'll put it to you like this. I came back Wednesday of the week before last, and they were acting crazy because they took the day off that week, or that day rather. They took the following day off and acted crazy as well. So that was 2 days out of that week that they didn't go. And then this previous week they missed 2 days as well. So since I've returned, and even before that actually, but I've just been like specifically counting it now. Um, there's been a thing of like at least 1 to 3, because there's been at least 1 week where they missed 3 days. But it's like, my thing is, when people sit here and they try to tell you about how downtrodden they are, and oh, I can't afford this, and whatever. I try to give someone the benefit of the doubt, but if they're gonna be nasty toward you as you're looking for work, applying for stuff, very obviously trying to get a job, why the hell should you be sympathetic toward them? Like, if people are going to be nasty toward you and assume the worst of you, you have no reason to treat them in a more compassionate manner because you have not received it in return. Yeah, the whole thing just is awful. People want you to feel so bad for them, but then when something happens to you, they're like, "Oh well, tough crap, too bad, so sad, cry me a river." And it's like, I don't understand the logic of that. You get to sit here and try to make everyone feel bad. Oh, this stuff costs so much, and da, da, da. But if the situation were reversed, you would tell that person this is what they signed up for. Too bad, and you're the same one who actively chooses to miss work. I'm telling you, out of all the jobs I've ever had, and I've had at least, I guess you could say four, technically five. Out of all the ones I've ever had, I've never missed a single day of work, not once. If they schedule me to work that day, you know who's showing up that day. But yeah, I vaguely alluded to some stuff this past Saturday, and trust me, if the situation gets even worse, I'll probably be more descriptive. But I really had a realization that, like, it doesn't matter whether you pay bills for somebody, um, whether you assist them in some other like essential way or whatever, as long as they believe that you don't do as much as them, you're just an expendable piece of crap. Um, it would be like if I lived somewhere and let's say I had I don't know, a person, it could be my cousin, my nephew, my niece, just example. And let's say the rent is 1,500, which I mean at this point it actually sounds way better than what ends up being the case. But let's say it's 1,500, and I have the person who lives with me pay 100. So they pay 100, I pay the other 1,400, and they do this every month. They're always on time. I ask them for it, I get it. They're not happy to pay it, but they're doing it because I ask them to. And so after they pay this bill for me, in addition to let's say getting me food to eat, right? and they're like, hey, I also pay stuff here. Why are you getting so upset? I'm like, you only pay 100 a month. It's like, but if that person and what they pay is so irrelevant, doesn't matter, why don't you do it yourself? This is a conversation we had about that other person I was with, the one that was mad about me not taking the trash out. And it's like they try to make it seem as if the thing they want you to do is not a like it's a big deal when they want to get pissed at you for not doing it, but it's not a big deal when they want to tell you that you can get out of here and you don't matter and you're a piece of crap and go die and with it. Just like I don't understand the logic of that, where in one breath you make this seem like it's the end of the world because someone won't do it, but then the other one you're like, oh, it doesn't matter, I can do this myself, get lost. That's why I said that, like, people, they just they're so good at making another person feel bad or seem like they're just nothing. They're just this expendable piece of garbage. But if you actually look into the rationale and the logic behind it, you find how much it doesn't make sense. And we had somebody show, I swear streams are just, they're the worst. Sometimes it'll be three people watching, then it'll be four, then it'll be two, then it'll be five. It's just I'm just past the point of even bothering with this stuff. It's whatever. The numbers on streams are all over the place. Sometimes they're high, sometimes they're low. But like I said, I don't take any joy in belittling another person and going, ha ha ha, you claim you're this, but you keep missing. Like, I don't really, that's not a thing I'm prideful to report or to mention. It's simply me trying to paint a picture of how you can have someone who wants you, again, to be sympathetic toward them, but they are not sympathetic toward you, which plays a very big role in you not really feeling any type of compassion for them because they don't show it toward you. Um, and really, that was the point of mentioning that like the same person that will tell you, oh my god, I can't afford this stuff, it's so expensive, will be the same one who will also tell you that you need to get a job as if you're not actively looking for one. And will also try to like make it seem as if they're not actively choosing to not go to work as much as they can. So it's just all really lousy, man. I already said before, I'm also tired of bending over backwards for a lot of these places. Like, I remember when I was at the retailer, and the assistant managers on several occasions would ask me, "Can you work an extra hour? Can you stay longer?" And in pretty much every instance, I said yes. And it was like, it's so sad that you constantly show your dedication to this stupid job by working longer than you're required to, right? The regular 8. And what do you get in return for assisting them? You get thrown out after a couple of people go on the website and write bad reviews of you, and then some individuals who are in charge of your employment who have never even met you are like, all right, get rid of that person. So I said, no good deed goes unpunished. I didn't have to work those extra hours. That's why I said no job that I get at this point will I ever overexert myself for, because I've done that in the past and I've been burned. There's too much. I said before, like, you can't have employers who care so little about their employees and they expect the employees to care about the job. Like, you only care about it as far as like showing up and doing the bare minimum because you're trying to get paid. But as far as like, going out of your way and I'm going to rearrange this and fix this and do, no, forget it. Teachers actually are among the guiltiest groups of that. Like, I've seen teachers who will out of their own pocket buy supplies for their class. Like, they'll buy everyone some scissors or some other little device. And I said, it's really sad that like the schools are so underfunded that teachers feel like they have to spend their own money just to slightly improve their classes and give them supplies they need. It's a really sad thing. So I said teachers do a lot of stuff for their students, and I've hated the fact that so much of the conversation about them is this like ridiculous nonsense talking about indoctrination and woke this, woke that, because there are very serious issues that affect the American educational system. I mean, again, underpaid teachers and other staffers, um, a lack of accessories to actually take out the to fulfill the obligations of a certain grade or curriculum. There's plenty of stuff that can be discussed as opposed to you know which books are we going to ban this year, that type of crap. I already said before when we were having this conversation on Saturday that there's plenty of people I don't like as far as commentators and politicians and just a whole bunch of them, but I would never um under pretty much any circumstance try to ban a book that one of them wrote. Because I believe there is some value. I mean, I've read some stuff by Laura Ingram, for example. Like I think there's value in reading things that are from a different perspective from your own. And it's like you can read that stuff and you don't have to automatically believe what's said or written. That's why I said it's really sad that you can sit here and like try to have an actual discussion about what constitutes real censorship, like what it means to actually just try to erase a certain thought or position or belief or whatever. And people they just start talking in these vague terms. Oh, you're trying to indoctrinate our children. Like with what? Again, a big issue for me with a lot of conservatives was their push when they're doing their little fiscal crap to get rid of the Department of Education, because one of the reasons that exists is to show that the federal government prioritizes education, but also um, when you have state by state anything, it's subject to different interpretations. So you could easily have a lot of these Confederate sympathizers in the South, again, in this hypothetical where there's no education department, go, oh well, let's start having books about how the South was just trying to preserve their liberty and during the Civil War, they try to like paint them as heroes or something. I said people just they eat this stuff up. They think it's really nice. Indoctrination. I think I mentioned I went to Catholic schools from kindergarten to 11th grade, and then when I got to 11th grade, I went to a charter school. And I'm telling you, I didn't even notice that there was no prayer like in the morning. I did that wasn't even a thing I picked up on because I was just so used to. I mean, it's one of those things where it happens, then it's over really quickly. Everybody getting up and sticking their hand over their chest and pledging allegiance, and you know it's it just was never that big of a deal to me, which is why a lot of the discussions about it, they try to make it seem like it's this um really important issue that we need to have conversations and reforms about. It just doesn't matter to me. Like I'm in favor of not having it just because there are children who go to these schools that are not religious in some cases, or they don't have any specifically defined belief system, but it's just one of those things where it's discussed and talked about and given more importance than I think it should have. But I don't know. It's just this stuff is it's hard to be excited for these things. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't have the highest of hopes for this week because it's already starting off kind of shaky. And after I do the stream, I'm gonna have to go do this thing that I really don't want to. At least what it means is that when I do a stream and I finish, I like just kind of sit back, relax. But because that person is there and they're like, "Go do this today," I'm like, "Oh my god." You said you were gonna go do this on Saturday. I actually didn't. I said I would do it on the weekend, and then what happened was I went somewhere on Saturday, and then just yesterday I really just didn't feel like doing it. It was what was it, Easter? So I don't know, man. People are they're really pushing for like some very absurd stuff, in my view, in terms of just like the things they get mad about and the stuff that they're aggressive about is just I don't know. It just always seems really backwards to me. Well, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. Same person that will say that they're so destitute and poor, you'll find them spending 600 on a pair of shoes, but whatever. Hold the window up because it was getting kind of hot. Yeah, I try hard to make stuff work. I really do. I try hard to treat people decently. And, like I said, I only really get to a point of antagonism or just like to hell with you when it's something I think is ridiculous. Um, like when you live with someone who locks their door every single time they leave the house, but then the one time that you leave and lock your door, they have like an issue with this. I think that's weird. I really do. I think that's a double standards. I think it's wrong to like have it to where one person can do this, and like I couldn't care less because it doesn't bother me, but it's like I'm just saying like that's why I said it was an issue from just being a double standard, but also being something that over my objections they would say a crazy thing like, "Do you want to have that nonsense?" But really, I've been kind of amazed by just the little like squabbles you can have with someone that can lead them to say this type of stuff to you. Because really, it all comes back to a point I made about how these people in this, because I've said before, I have a crappy economic situation where you have jobs that don't hire you, or if they do hire you, they get rid of you really quickly. Um, and because of this, it's difficult to really feel confident if you work somewhere because you're always thinking, "Oh my God, tomorrow's gonna be my next day, and I won't have anywhere to work," etc. And these people who are aware of this crappy economic situation have decided that I am, in effect, this piece of trash that they can just throw around and get rid of at any point, right? Make all types of threats towards. And I just got tired of it. I said, this is stupid. There was this idea that you need this person to survive. You need them. If you don't have them, you're screwed. But it's like they don't even want to be there for you anyway. And I attest to this, that it is not a normal reaction to, if you get into a singular, it's not like it's a daily thing, but if you get into a singular argument with someone that lives with you, to tell them to get out, or you're going to kick them out, or they can get out if you that's something that I just don't think is normal. So when I have a person who says something to me like that this past Saturday, and I know that they said similar things like that, um the Monday, this previous Monday, and this previous, what was that, Friday. So basically, like, they keep saying things of that nature over disagreements, then it makes it to where when they try to tell you that you've done something across the pale or whatever, you can't even take it seriously anymore, because to them everything is across the pale, or is serious enough to make a threat or proclamation like that. So if I were to, let's say, eat someone's, no, you know what, no, because that's something that they do to me, rather, they eat my stuff. But let's say, for example, let me think of an example. I decide to I'm trying to think. Maybe I step on someone's carpet, right, with some shoes, and they're like, "This is ridiculous. You can go live over here." And you're like, "Wow, you really got this mad over someone stepping on your carpet to where you're like threatening to kick them out? Really?" So then, a week later, I ask you to get me some food, and you're like, "No, you're an adult. Why do I have to buy you food?" And then my response to that is, "You treat everyone better than me. You can go live somewhere else." And you're like, "Wow, you're really threatening to kick somebody out because they didn't buy you food?" Person with a job who expects the person without a job to buy them food, really? Um, and then maybe a few days later, because I've never shown you how to wash your own clothes, but you need some stuff to be washed because I didn't wash the stuff you had there when you were gone. I put the stuff in, you put your stuff in the washer, and I come back and I'm like really angry. How could you do this? Why would you use my machine without asking me? But again, it's like you're trying to make it seem as if this person washing their stuff was this really evil, awful act, when in reality, every single thing they do is a really evil, awful act. If they don't buy you food, it's evil and awful. If they, I mean, the other example I gave, just any little minor disagreement you may have with this person, because it is minor. This doesn't have any serious ramifications, but any minor disagreement you have with this person, you're quick to say, you can go stay over there, you can go live over there, you can go back over, just all types of weird showings of how, because like I said before, this isn't about right or wrong. It's about power. It's about people feeling like, because they pay for the, or they, excuse me, pay a majority of the bills in the place that you live in, you are theirs, like they own you, like you're their slave. And if you ever deviate from their script or do something that is not entirely the way they would have liked it, they'll try to get rid of you. Remember, these are the same relatives who in a heartbeat will say, I love you. I care so much about you. But they don't mean it, man. They're full of crap. You know it. You see right through the fakeness of all the rhetoric. Because, like I said, a normal person is not going to say the types of things that have been said. They just wouldn't. Um, and it's crazy because I think about those before last year. And what does it tell you when you live with someone for for like, what, 10 years? You get in arguments with them all throughout the whole time you're growing up, but they never threaten to kick you out. They never tell you you can go live with this person under any circumstance. What does that tell you when you contrast that with these people who it seems like every other month, or are trying to like make some threat about, you can go over here, you can go over there, or sticking your hand up and telling you can go live over. It shows you that you had one, maybe two people that actually cared about your well-being, and a bunch of pretenders to the throne. They might have rhetoric at certain points that sounds like the past ones that were actually there for you, but in any tangible way, they just couldn't be screwed to actually be there for you. Their lack of patience and their short temperedness causes them to basically, and I said this before, a person can pay a million bills, but if they are actively making threats about I own this, and if you don't do this, you can get all this stupid stuff, then their environment is just as unstable as one of someone who doesn't pay anything. And that's why I said I'm just so tired of this belief that these people have perpetuated that I'm a piece of crap. Like I'm tired of it because you try to sit them down and you explain to them this many people don't have a job, this many people are not working, all that stuff, and they don't even care. They just assume things. Let me see if this thing works. Not speaker. Let me switch it over. Hello. 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 Oh, that's so weird. People call you, don't say anything. But that's the kind of stuff I was talking about, where you get called by places and then they don't even actually talk to you. Like they just call and say nothing. Or if they call you at random times and then you don't answer and then they don't call back, or answer when you call them back. Let me call this number again. Maybe that my because I've had that issue before where like I put the thing off of speaker and it acts up. So let me see if I can try this again. I really thought that was a job calling, to be like, hey, we want to have an interview, or did you get this with it? No, it's some stupid little scam place where they're trying to get people talking about homeowners and showing them about energy. It's dumb. I got excited for a second. I was like, oh man, I missed a person that called me about work. No, it's crap. I'm not surprised, man. These places are just they're jokes. But yeah, there have been a lot of threats that have been thrown my way. You better do this, you better do that. I'm just kind of at a point where it's just like whatever to me now. People get mad over anything. And I mean, and I do mean that seriously, like sincerely. People get mad over anything, just angry, pissed off, rage. Um, so for me, I don't even really like. Again, I take it seriously as far as sometimes you'll like make the case of why they should calm the hell down. It's not that big of a deal. Um, but if it goes south, I'm not even going to be surprised, because these when people are looking to have a problem with you, they will find one. They will find any way to be pissed off and mad and shaking their fist. And I've just moved past it, like as far as caring about it, because they always present this false scenario um of like, oh, I'm only going to get upset with you if you do this. But it's kind of like if I said, I really want the people who watch my stuff to hit the like button, and then people start hitting the like button, right? And then I say, I really want the people who watch my stuff to leave comments, and then people start leaving comments. And then I say, I really want the people who watch my stuff to subscribe, and then people subscribe. And I really want the people who watch my stuff to also donate on this. What I mean, you know what I'm saying? Of how like I'm never satisfied. Like I'm just gonna keep finding requests for you to do this, that, or the other. Just jumping through all these hoops to try and appeal to me and make me feel better about you. And it's like at a certain point you go, okay, well, we've done all this other stuff. When does it end? It's a real question. Like when's the conclusion? I can't find it. Yeah, I was looking at that documentary last night. I wrote some stuff on it for the first time in I think like 2 weeks, where I got to the Iran section and they mentioned the nuclear deal and the Soleimani assassination. I was just sitting there like, why am I having such a hard time writing the China part? And I said, oh, I get it because it's a trade war and it's kind of like harder to describe that in a gripping way. And um, I noticed a lot of the like left wing commentators I would watch, they didn't really talk about that much, which is strange because China's a very important country. They're our biggest competitor. So I can't tell you growing up how many clothes I had where it's like on the you see on the back made in China. And it always was so weird. It's like, why can't we make our own clothes? Like I would have shirts and pants and um, all types of stuff where it just said made in China. And I would always just think to myself, why can't we make it? I'm glad I rolled the window up now. This car's blowing its beeper. I guess someone tried to steal it or whatever. But yeah, I'd say the crazier parts of that week were mostly just Tuesday and Saturday. Tuesday because I showed up to an interview like on time, right place, and was left very confused by two things. One, that the place they wanted me to go into had the number of their room written in crayon or marker, and then the fact that no one was there. And I had the one of my relatives. They said that they thought it was a scam, and I'm like, well, okay, but what are they getting out of doing this? Like, what do they get out of telling people come to this building, and then you come to the building, and then nothing happens? You just go into an empty room. I still can't believe that happened. That might actually be the first time ever where I've had an interview that was scheduled at a place like because the people do dodgy stuff on the phone all the time. But that might be the first time I've had a phone. Um, we call it an interview that was like based off some stuff from the phone that was supposed to translate into a real life thing that was going to be several hours long, and it just went nowhere. They might have really done something historic there. I'll have to look and check the record. Because, like I said, I'm not this oasis of information on my employment. Like, there's certain stuff I just don't remember. I think that happens anytime somebody applies to a bunch of jobs. They just have certain things they can't fully recall because it's been a long time, like years of just applying and seeking work out, and then there's levels to it. Some places actually hire you. Some places have you in for like two or three, and then still nothing. Still can't go over driving what was like a whole 2 hours damn near to go to that one interview just to like hear nothing back from them. Oh man, you just can't win. I wasn't even that surprised. These places are always they're jokes. They're not serious about anybody. I think I said before there was this dog place that I applied to back over the summer, and I heard nothing. Well, the guy actually I did hear something back. Like the guy was like, "Oh, we found somebody. Thanks." The little hit you on the door on the way out type of message. But what was really comedic is that by either September or October, the exact same dog place was right back applying and looking for people again. And I applied that time and actually got to come up there and go through all the BS of trying to get the job from them. But it was just kind of funny. It was like If you guys sounded like you were so happy that you found this new person that was going to be here for all the dogs. What happened? Because I've said before, I'm someone I don't have any pets anymore, but I like dogs of all different shapes and sizes and whatnot. So that's probably a job I would have liked, and it really is awful that these places they it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter how friendly you are, how much devoted you are to getting the job. You're like, hey, I'll work anytime you guys ask me to, whatever. Just let me know. Still nothing. I sat up there that one. I think it was a Thursday. It could have been either a Thursday or Wednesday. I sat up there that one weekday and got mauled by 30 something dogs for like a whole hour or 2 hours for nothing. And that still pisses me off because again, it's like why did you have me go up here and meet and play with all the little animals if I'm not actually going to work here? Like it's stupid. That's why I said the whole thing is just dumb to me. That's why I said all as well. I'm just tired of having my time wasted by these employers that are not serious. I think about that last company I was with. I mean, every time they told me about a job, unless there was something really ridiculous, I would go and do it, and I would stay there the whole time until they stopped using me. And it's like it's the assistant manager, I guess the recruiter kept making it sound like, oh, in January places are going to be looking for someone to hire, and here we are in April and still nothing. And they don't call me, they don't update nothing. Just that's why I said that like it's hard to take this stuff seriously when you know that you have people, whether it's an employer, a family member, even somebody that watches the video, they just don't care about you. And some of them lie about it. Oh, I remember the lady telling me, "Oh yeah, as long as you continue to work, I will continue to try and assist you." And here we are 3 months later, nothing. I never even actually saved her number. Ironically enough, like I know what number it is because I have text messages with it, but I never actually like saved it under a name because from the moment I started working with that agency, I had this feeling like a little gut instinct that said you are not going to be with this place any longer than maybe like a month or 2 months. Because I've said before that um, generally speaking, with jobs, the typical duration, because they're moving at like a breakneck space to get rid of people, right? The typical duration is probably a month, and it's not always like you work for uh, 20 days out of the calendar. No, it's usually like you work there for 4 weeks. Maybe they have you there full time or part time. You work there for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then they get rid of you. Because I said before that the actual thing they're supposed to do is have you on a probation period where you work there for you know 3 months, and then they decide to keep you or not. But these jobs are moving at such a breakneck pace to hire and fire people that they'll get rid of you in a third of that time. And that's why when I was talking to Megumi on that one stream, I said I really wish that we could have some unions come back. And one of the stipulations that we could put in place is that when you fire someone, you have to also pay them in the immediate for the rest of that 3 month probation period at least, because that way, when that person gets yanked, they have like a safety net. I know unemployment, whatever, but like I really like the idea that these stupid corporations that think we're all just disposable pieces of garbage have to pay us if they get rid of us before that 3 months is up. Because then they'll get to a point where they stop just hiring people every 5 seconds that they have no intention of actually keeping on or exercising any patience with. See, I really miss unions. I feel like if they were around, things would be a lot better. But again, it's usually in the absence of certain people or things that you get these types of scenarios. Like if we had actual lawmakers that cared about workers, man, these companies be running scared. It's like we have a state that has almost 40 million people. It might be 40 million. I've heard it's 39 million. And roughly 50 members, 50 plus members of the House, a bunch of members of the state senates, and you know, two senators, a governor. And it's like out of all these people, I really can't think of any of them that actually do things for workers, that like lead protests and rallies. And it's just sad, like that's people just get elected and they don't do anything of any ambition. They just sit around and you know waste any time of it. Like just they're not doing anything remotely important. That's the sad part. It's just a big joke. I don't know. I just feel like when you get elected to something, you should stand for a purpose that's not sucking off a corporation, and that's exactly what we end up seeing today with a lot of these lawmakers. They're just there to get enrich themselves, and maybe they'll do some stuff that's not horrible, but in general, they're not really doing anything of any noteworthiness. But yeah, applying the places, driving here, driving there, it can take a toll on you. Because for me, it's always just been the fact that like some days you just feel tired, and I don't mean tired as in like if you get hired somewhere you're not going to work there, because I don't do any of the crap that I see from them. I always make sure to get a good 8 hour sleep, show up on time. Usually I leave an hour before the job starts. I have no problem with that. I'm talking about how when you sit here and just every day feels like it's the same thing where you apply to this place, that place, the other place, etc., but you hear nothing back. And then you have this person who's like getting mad at you and threatening you and telling you can get lost and all this other stupid crap. It just becomes entirely unsatisfactory, I should say. Like I can, and I've said this before, I have no problem admitting if I'm not happy. And it's usually on days like this where that person is there and they're gonna get up and tell me to go do something for them or whatever, and I'm just gonna kind of like roll my eyes because I don't feel like it. Just it's irritating. I'd actually be streaming that over there right now if they weren't there. That's why I said it's hard to get excited about a lot of stuff when you see just the constant stagnation. Mm. Oh man, stretch out my legs a little bit. I really did just like wake up and then just directly go here because it was me trying to meet some semblance of the time I usually go for, even though I had intended to depart earlier than that. Because I set my alarm for 9:30 and I just fell back asleep. So stuff like that happens sometimes. Well, when you see the same thing happening over and over again, you just become disenfranchised with it. Because really, every day since I got back has been this. I apply to some place, either apply to a bunch of places, or I go to somewhere for an interview. Then this other person who is constantly trying to make you feel bad for them while also crapping on you, gets mad over something, right? And then they start trying to like have an argument with me, and I'm sure they'll probably do that today, which I'm not excited for in the slightest because like get lost. But yeah, it's all been some version of that, some variation of that rather. Apply here or go to an interview. Last week I had an interview technically every single day. Because on Monday I had the one person that called me over the phone or whatever at like 9 or 10. It was right before I started streaming. Tuesday I went to the stupid interview with where they weren't even. Oh no, I went to the one where I drove for like a whole 2 hours to go and to that facility. And then Wednesday, that's when I went to the one where no one was there at that building, which I thought was insane. Um, Thursday, I was scheduled to go to this other place, but they were like an hour away, and I didn't feel like driving over there, so I didn't even bother saying anything. But I went to a job fair on Thursday. Then on Friday, I had the 10 a.m. interview with the same place that tried to call me on Tuesday that I spoke to on Wednesday. So yeah, every day this past week I had some interview. That's why I said like trying to find a job is a job in and of itself. Because sometimes I'll apply to so many places to where they'll ask like what attracted you to the position. I'm like, I mean, I'm applying for pretty much anything, because like at a certain point you apply to so much stuff you don't remember what all these places are. Hmm. Yeah, every day this week there was a different job interview. Every single day. Apply here, go there. Apply, apply, apply. So it's very hard to cling on to hope, especially when it always just seems like because I mentioned this on Saturday. I said we don't live in an era anymore, unfortunately, where you can just apply somewhere and you get like a phone call, right? You go for an interview and then they hire you on the spot. It doesn't that's never what happens anymore. Instead, it's this dragged out process of sometimes two interviews, sometimes three interviews. Then there, in some cases, they have like school and other types of things. I mean, it's just constant. Like, you know what it is? It's like filler in an anime where there's like scenes that they created just for the show that aren't in the manga. With these jobs, it feels like the before you actually start working at the place, there's all this filler. First, there's the interview. Then they want you to get a TB test. Then they want you to get credentials for CPR. I mean, like at every point, there's always a bunch of different steps and sagas. And it's like just to start working somewhere. That's what I said with that place. That's like, oh, two professional interviews and two professional references and one personal reference. I'm going to fill that out. I bet tomorrow, 2 days from now, guess what they're going to be saying? We need you to go and to get this test done, because you never can just get hired anymore. Like it's never you go from being unemployed to hired in like a span of a few days, a week. It's always a dragged out process every time. And I'm really sick of it. Like, Jesus Christ. Listen, I'm just at a point where I don't even take this stuff seriously anymore. Like it's all just going through the motions. They want a whole magnum opus from you now. You think I'm kidding? I have yet to see one job that I've either started working at, or like in the last year or so, outside of that retailer, every position I apply for that halfway sounds like it wants me, there's a process to even starting to work there. Like I had this one place, it's a trucking company. I'm like, okay, I've been driving for a little while, but I'm not entirely confident. Oh, we have a driving school that you go, you're it's unpaid for 3 weeks. I'm like, well, hell, I mean, I need to get paid. I can't just go to this school and then remember they could always fire you after that. So I was like, well, I probably would have taken my chances with it, but this other person was like the same person that wants you to get a job is very selective with the jobs they want you to get. Like that's why I said people move the goalposts. They go from saying you need a job to this job isn't good enough. That's what they like to do. Um, but yeah, it's never just you get hired somewhere and that's it. It's always at this point a dragged out process. The last place I worked, temp job, they wanted me to go and buy black shoes, black shirt, black pants, you know, and then even after you get that stuff, uh, they're I mean, just at every point, there's always something else you have to do just to start working somewhere. All this stuff just to try and get a job, man. It's crazy. Why didn't you wear your black this? I really would not be surprised if I get hired by that one place, the one that told me to give them the two professional and one personal reference, and then they just jump to something else. I'm not even joking. Sometimes I really feel like employers have a desire to just not see someone work for them. Like they're actively looking for ways to make sure that you don't end up becoming an employee at their company. I really believe that because there's too much stuff involved with just trying to start working somewhere for me to believe it's all normal. Yeah, this whole thing is just so untenable. Really, my biggest issue is just watching some of these people and the way that they act and the types of things you're expected to do just to work somewhere. You want to work for us? Hope you have your vaccination card. You want to work for us? Hope you have your TB test. You want to work for us? Hope you have two forms of ID. The two forms of ID one is just so weird to me. Like if I have a license and it says the exact name I'm telling you is my name, I don't know why I need to whatever. Apparently at the White House they asked Biden if he was gonna run again. He said he's planning on doing it, but he's not gonna make a formal announcement at this point. That's always the weirdest part to me of like announcing that you're running for something and then like you announce it on a radio show, but then you're like, my official announcement is going to be in my home state, surrounded by thousands of people. just weird to me. I wish he would just get in already. Like I don't get the point of delaying and wait. Whatever. It's strange. I really hope Williamson is able to get some more support. I've been seeing that she's going up in the polls or whatever. But I said before, I'm going to keep on mentioning her, bringing her up, covering her when I can, just to keep trying to do my part to get her name out there. Even if I don't get that many views, I'm still going to play some role in trying to advance the message, you know? But I don't know. I just feel like they changed the first state to South Carolina because that's where Clyburn endorsed him, and then he was able to get, a sizable victory over Sanders and then propel himself to win the states on Super Tuesday. But what drives me crazy is they changed it to that state in a supposedly non-rigged move, even though it was, or it is rather. Williamson goes over to South Carolina. She gets in this conflict with what's his name? Marcel. I'm forgetting his last name. But he ran against Clyburn for his seat. So he's like someone who's progressive, or at least like someone endorsed by progressives. Anyways, they get into some argument about reparations, and I'm just thinking to myself, man, it's really sad that people took that one clip of her probably not acting in the most gracious of manners, and they're like, this is what she really is, and I will not support her, and just whatever. I didn't even bother making a video about that because people are already they're going to paint whatever agendas they want with it. Oh, not up for me to decide. But yeah, I don't know if she can beat him in South Carolina. I really don't. I think a lot of the people there are spiritual, and her spirituality might resonate with them. But as far as the name recognition, I don't know. It's really hard to make a calculation on that. I think what's going to probably end up happening with him is that he's going to start off very extremely confident, and if she's either able to win a state or to get like 30-40%, like just barely lose one, then he'll like start going out and campaigning. You're going to basically see like a repeat of what happened with Pat Buchanan, where he ran against the older Bush, and he didn't win New Hampshire, but he did like very well there, and that propelled the older Bush to like actually go out and start campaigning. So there'll probably be something similar to that. I can already hear the songs now. She's going to weaken him in a general. I saw this one lady talking about we need to preserve our democracy, and that's why we shouldn't primary Biden. I'm like, are you kidding me? Let's preserve a democratic system by doing something as non-democratic as all swearing allegiance to the dear leader of the Democratic Party. It's like, yeah, that's totally a thought process that makes sense. I'm telling you, man, people just don't think. They just say things. Like I said, if he's such a strong, powerful, well-respected, very extremely popular incumbent, why not have somebody run against him? What are you so afraid of? I mean, Biden clearly has a big base of support. Look at the Kotsky merchant. He's wearing his Biden 2024 baseball cap right now, and indoors too. Men are supposed to remove their hats when they're indoors for some reason. So you've already decided to back him. You're already in the tank for your president. I already said before that I'm always up for primarying pretty much anybody. If there's such a strong, powerful incumbent that's so loved and respected, that you should be able to wither a challenge. But yeah, it's been a hard couple of weeks, and it's been hard because there is a systemic desire by people to not be as sympathetic as I think they should be. To basically look for any and every way to be like, oh, you did this. This happened because of you, but then at the same time, want you to feel bad for them. And therefore, I really do believe a lot of people, just on a fundamental level, have been so what's the way of putting it? I don't want to use indoctrination, but they've basically become demoralized and pushed into this belief system of uh, a lack of compassion, that they can just sort of say any old crazy crap with a straight face. Like, when you have someone like that person I talked about before that said regarding the LAUSD school strike, where those teachers and other workers were trying to get a higher wage. Oh, they knew what they signed up for. That's scummy stuff. That's stupid. And you better believe I pushed back against that, because it's like, the same person saying this, the person saying this is not well off. And it's like, I don't understand how human beings, like, why they hate each other so much. That was always one of the biggest reasons I pushed back against all the nativist language on illegal immigrants. It's like, people sit here and they talk about, oh, I don't want illegal immigrants coming because they're going to take jobs from Americans. But then the same Americans that you claim to love and support and want to have work, you get pissed and are upset if they want to work for an extra $2 or $3 an hour. So how can you in one breath say you want to defend their jobs from people coming into the country illegally, but then in another breath, when those same workers that you claim to care about want higher wages, you tell them tough crap? If we increase the minimum wage, people are going to get laid off. I said as a joke, like, okay, if by that logic, let's just pay everybody $1 and then we can all be hired. Again, if the quality of the individual jobs goes up from a wage increase, I'm not gonna. I already said before what my stance was. I think there's something wrong with the system where people believe that they have to get two jobs just to survive. Um, so pretty much anything that causes you to have one job that can actually pay you enough to live, I'm fine with. Oh God, it really is just a corporatized ugh, existence that we have over here, where regular people say stuff that you would expect a wealthy person to say. Like, I'm very serious when I say that I look at the way people act and the types of things they say. Um, and it's like they don't think anything is wrong with this. They really feel like they're saying something good or normal. And that's scary that like human beings talk about each other the way that they do. Like people just sit here and think that it's normal to be like, you wanted this person to get a wage increase? Nope, not gonna happen. You know, I think that's scummy. But then again, there are a lot of scummy things going on. God, I'm really dreading today, like having to go and grab all those. I'm not taking all of them up there. They can get mad if they want. I'm just gonna say it was too many. But this is actually another good example of like what I was talking about when I said that people will call someone who doesn't work lazy, but then they'll never call people who cannot do very basic things lazy. So, for example, when you have someone who refuses to take some like imagine what I would look like if I'm upset or bothered by someone having cans at my house, and in response to this person having cans at the house, I am going to keep telling them, you need to go take this up there. You need to go take this up. You need to go take this up. But I can never be bothered to do it myself. And remember, it doesn't bother them. It bothers me. But for some reason, I can never do it myself. I can never just stick those in my car, take them up to the place. Like it's too much for me. I just can't be bothered to do it. But I'll go ahead and call somebody else lazy. But this goes back to what I said when I was talking about how there are so many lies and there's so much rhetoric based around like BS as far as like people, the stuff they try to get you to believe versus what's actually true are night and day different from each other. Because people who aren't lazy do not sit around and tell someone, go take out the trash and then get mad when the person who's not even there most of the day doesn't do it while they're there all day. They would just go and take it out themselves. The person who's not lazy is not going to keep saying, you need to go and recycle this, you need to go and recycle this, you need to go. They'll just go do it themselves. So, like I said, we're just seeing more examples of these people and their never-ending quest to like constantly be pissed off and mad and angry and just in a perpetual bad mood. That's all it is. Just constantly upset. That's why I said I really didn't feel bad about what happened on Saturday because a lot of the same old rhetoric got tossed out. And that's why I said when you make like a definitive dramatic statement and you keep making a definitive dramatic statement, it starts to become like a joke of itself. Like if I say, "Hey, employee, I didn't like that you didn't clean the toilets, so next time you don't do that, I'm firing you." And then the person cleans it, and I'm like, "Hey, employee, I didn't like that you didn't make the pizzas at 70 degrees. So next time you don't do that, I'm firing you." And then I make it at 70 degrees. "Hey, employee, I didn't like that you didn't clean aisle 4. And if you don't clean aisle 4 again, I'm firing you." You see how firing somebody, getting rid of whatever, it's all supposed to be like this really dramatic, extreme, we're done with you type thing, right? But if it gets thrown out every day or every other day, it becomes a joke version of itself. It's a self parody. So it's just people, trying to scare somebody. Like I said, there are actual things I'm afraid of. Like sometimes I sit back and I go, "Am I really going to be, uh, just forever having to keep applying to places, hearing nothing back, or if they hire you to get rid of you after a month or a few?" I mean, like that's something that actually scares me. But as far as like, oh man, this person won't like me, I don't care. pretty much any actual fear on my part has to do with having a goal and then not being able to meet it because of either stuff with me or external factors. Because I said before, I cannot make people hire me. Um, but yeah, those are the only real things that just have me freaked out. I had a package yesterday that was supposed to be delivered to an Amazon hub locker, and it's like your item is out for delivery. I'm like, oh great, cool. And then I get this email that I swear I've never seen it before, and it's like, uh, where is it? Oh, I got another rejection email. They're like, not, I wasn't selected. Big shock there. Um, it says delivery attempt unsuccessful. We tried, but we weren't able to deliver your package today. We will try again. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Because I've had plenty of stuff delivered there with no problem. So that's really weird. Like that they tried to deliver something and then it just didn't. They just couldn't for some reason. Part of me almost felt like driving up there and going to and like see what happened. But mentioned that because I've never, out of all the years of using Amazon, I've had sometimes they were like, we don't know where this item is or whatever. Like that's come up a few times, but in general, I've never seen that message before of like, hey, sorry, this is not tenable. We tried to deliver, but we weren't able to. I've never seen that before. That's a whole new message. Every time I try to juggle, man, I always trip up. I feel like if I just focus on it, I can do a decent job of like figuring out where it's going to go. But even then, it's kind of hard to know specifically. You never know at this point. Oh man, but yeah, I'm really dreading this week because I've got several places that I still haven't even filled out the application for when I went to that job fair. Um, I mean, but at the same time, I don't feel bad about not doing that because, like I said, it wasn't even 2 weeks ago that I applied to over 20 places in one day. So an extra 5 or 6 is not going to be that different. And I actually did fill out one of them um, at the place, and the lady was like, "Oh, I'll call you on Monday." Like, yeah, we'll see. We will definitely see. Because if there's one thing employers like to do, it's lie or not keep their promise or a mixture of both. Sometimes they do mean what they're going to say, but can't do it. Sometimes they don't mean it, and they have no problem claiming that they will when it in reality was never even a thought. But yeah, this week's already starting off kind of annoying. Like having to take all the cans and to the place, uh, you know, is just whatever. But then it's like on top of that, you also, and really for me, it's just being able to stick all those in there. It's like 7 or 8 of them. I could probably put some in up here too, like 2 or 3. It's just really annoying. I don't know. I feel like people, they're like some people, their role is just to be annoying, like just to be obnoxious. Just to annoy everyone. Because make no mistake, these people, when they have their little stupid relationships, they piss off their partner too. Um, but it's just a pain, man. I wish I had some better relatives. Wish I had some people who were actually there in ways that mattered. God, it's just. Oh, I don't even think I'll go back there. Like I'll go to get the stuff, but just like I probably won't even go inside. I'll just probably I don't know, maybe just grab the stuff and leave, and then get something to eat from somewhere else. I'm just too irritated today. Oh, this one person has Kakashi on the back of their car, on the side of their car, the mirror in the backside. But yeah, I think what happens is there are just some days where maybe you're not sick or physically ill, but you just don't feel like it, like doing things. Um, and I just really, I'm just kind of out of it today as far as like, oh, I can't wait to go up here and do this. That's so I'll probably just stay gone throughout the day. Like I'll probably go over there, grab the stuff after I finish streaming, um, and then probably get something to eat, and then after that I'll go and do this other errand, and yeah, and do the can thing. By the time the can thing is done, the other person should be up. So, every day, man, it's just the same old ridiculous stuff. People getting mad over stupid things, getting angry, ready to fight somebody over the dumbest of things. Like I never thought today where somebody would get mad at you for washing your clothes. Like, what the hell is that? I think I don't know if I mentioned this, but there was this one job that I got hired by maybe a year ago, either a year ago or 2 years ago. It's probably a year ago. And I was excited. It was a canvassing job. We're gonna knock on people's doors, whatever. I said, okay, this sounds like something I'd be open to doing. I'm open to doing most things. And the manager, hiring director, whatever, sends me this enormous 11 paragraph message, and he's like, I want you to memorize this by the time you first come into the office. And I said, previous jobs I've had, they wanted me to memorize like a little line, welcome this place, what can I do for you, do you have a card, etc. Stuff that's easy to remember because it's not that long. 11 sentences, 3 paragraphs, or I guess two paragraphs and pieces of a third. And I said to myself, I'm not going to memorize something that, first of all, when I applied, there was no mention of. But secondly, I'm not going to do all of this work of trying to memorize this giant thing just so you can fire me in a couple of weeks. That's just an even bigger waste of my time. So I didn't put up with it. I told them I'm no longer interested. And then they sent me some weird email talking about we're terminating your employment, but I never worked for you in the first place. So I don't know how you can fire somebody that never worked for you, but I don't know. Companies they're finding all kinds of ways to break the depths of stupidity. Before I go, I'll probably go back to that site and try to get that thing made again. But yeah, it's not easy. It really isn't. Applying for stuff can be very annoying. Working at these places can be very annoying. Living with people can be very annoying. I mean, I'm seeing an excellent example of that today. But yeah, I'll just get out of there, man. I really hate more than anything that things are the way that they are. Because if you knew how many hundreds of times I've applied to places and either heard nothing back or had some interview that went nowhere, or had some place that was like trying to get rid of anybody for any stupid thing, you would understand why I'm just sick of this whole saga. I mean, it's just it's harder to get a job than it has any right to be. I'll leave it at that. That's the perfect conclusion for this. It is harder to get a job than it has any right to be. It should have never been this difficult, this drawn out, this dragged out. And like I said, I've got PTSD now because every time I get hired by somewhere, I'm just thinking, okay, are they going to fire me over this? Are they going to get mad over that? Am I going to stay here for more than 4 weeks? I mean, look at these places. They're not serious about hiring people. They're just not. It's all just this big joke. So I'm gonna wrap this up because nobody's writing anything. Thanks for showing up, Kotsky Merchant, and have a good day.